Hey YouTube, I thought I would show you this. Instead of whipping out a tape measure all the time to check the thickness of boards, this is a board gauge and it goes up to 1 inch. I have another one that goes to 2 inches, but so you can see, you just slide this over a board. For instance, you slide it over this board and you can see that this thing is 3/4 of an inch thick. So it's 1 inch, 7/8, 3/4, 5/8, and half. You know, in between, the measurements in between you can interpolate. So other than that, this comes in pretty handy. So you'll be seeing me use this a lot now when I go to measure boards. It's quicker than a tape measure, and the tape measure is harder to read when you're trying to measure the thickness of the board, because you got to turn the board on its edge. This here you just really don't have to. Just put the flat part inside and then read the number. A nifty little gadget. Well, it was just pouring like 5 minutes ago. Stopped, but it looks like it's going to rain again soon. So there's no way that I can do any planing today. I wanted to pop-up canopy things that you have like at a little picnic or a little gathering. I think I'm going to set that up over top of the planer here. Not so much that I'll work in the rain, because it's not big enough for the boards to stick out of, but what it is I would be able to not have to rush to try to get the planer covered up when it does start to rain. The temperature here this morning is 62. I guess it's around noontime now, and you can see even with the doors open, the kiln temperature there is 76 degrees in there, and the humidity's up a little bit because it's raining outside. But what I wanted to go over a little bit was when it comes to this planing and stacking, you just can't be diligent enough when it comes to stacking the lumber. The more you stack it and the more uniform the stickers are, and the more uniform you cut the wood in thickness, the better off you're going to be. If you don't follow through with that and you get into a pattern of, let's say, instead of giving yourself like 1/8 of an inch for the saw kerf when you're cutting, if you go down 1 inch exactly on the dial of the wood miser, you end up with a 7/8 inch board. And what happens is you end up with a 7/8 inch board, like you'll have one here, and then you'll start your cant, and then maybe the bottom board will be 7/8 instead of an inch, and you end up with 2 boards out of every, like say maybe row here, as a different size board. That tends to become a headache, because when you're planing, you're trying to plane a 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch. It's ideal if you have nice straight lumber and you can plane and get a smooth face within the 7/8 inch mark, which is what I like to do, because you have to realize I'm not trying to sell this as 3/4 lumber. I just want it finished so that when I stack it, it dries good. Because if you stack it without it being planed, you'll find out that you're going to get some mold on it. Okay, because like just like this here, along here, there was sawdust on there, and even though it's not against another board, you could tell that there was a little bit of mold. It's nothing real drastic. It's more like, you know, accumulated sawdust. But the point is that you want to try and eliminate that. So if you run it through the planer board is smooth, it's easy to turn the board upside down and dump that stuff off of it. And then when you stack the boards, now this is after they're dry, when you stack the boards, they tend to maintain themselves in a straighter orientation. So again, you know, you want to try and keep your boards stacked neatly as you can. You want to cut them to the same thicknesses as good as you can, because no matter how much you stack them, no matter what effort you put into it, you are going to get some warped boards. Now, like this board on the top here, for instance, this board is fairly straight this direction, but if you look at it this way, there's a little bit of a bow to it. On this side you can see it a little bit more. Now, to me, these are not problem boards. What it is I'll run that through the planer, and you'd be surprised how good they look after they go through the planer. But you run them through the planer, and then you can cut them off at whatever size you want. Very seldom will red oak be used at the 8-foot length, okay, except for molding. Now that's the only thing I'm after, and those of you who have watched my channel for a while know that I'm after that. And also, there's been some opinions about planing. Because I'm able to plane all the lumber I've planed so far on this $250 planer, this seems to irk somebody who's spent a lot more than I have to do the same job. Look, it just so happens that I know how to use equipment. I don't have to have the latest and greatest to be able to accomplish a goal. Nobody does. You know, if that's what you're after, the latest and greatest, then go get that. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care what you do. But I'm just going to stick with the most inexpensive, because every time I plane a board with this $250 planer, I'm saving money. Now, you can like that or not like it, but that's how it works. And as far as, you know, putting wood through a jointer before you put it in a planer, I'm not even going to go there, because I don't believe that for 1 minute. I've had all that different kind of equipment, and I'm telling you, the jointer is not the way to go. But there's a whole bunch of YouTubers out there who would go against that, and you can have your way, whatever it might be. I can take the cup out of a board easily with this planer quicker than I can with a jointer. Now, that's all I'm going to say about that. And as far as the setup that I have up here, I'm outside. I'm doing the best that I can do for what I am trying to do. And I am accomplishing my goal. That's why I've got $8,000 worth of red oak in my greenhouse right now. So, I'm sorry if it doesn't appeal to your better judgment, but paying less to do the same job is what I want to do. And doing it myself, rather than taking it somewhere to have somebody do the work, is not what I'm going to do. That's why I build houses by myself, that's why I cut the lumber by myself, and I'm going to plane it by myself. Just because I have the time and I can save the money. If it was a matter of spending money, I could go to Lowe's and buy all the red oak I want. That's not the point. The point is that this project here of red oak has to save me $5,000 in order to make itself be worth what I need it to be worth to do the molding in my house, the trim work. And it's already done that. Just the fact that I have the $8,000 worth of red oak in my garage or in my greenhouse already has me at that point. I've not only saved the $5,000 I originally decided that I originally was going to save, but I actually increased my net worth just because of the plain boards. Now, I don't know if you can all understand that. I got some comments about different things, and you should do this, you should do that. I'm not telling you how to do anything. I'm showing you what I do. I don't particularly care what you do. You can do whatever you want. But if you saw me sharpen the blade the other day on a little wooden jig for the planer, and I put the blade on there and that thing works just as good as a new one, I have saved $29. I don't know what you have against saving. I have nothing against it. It's better for me to put $29 in my pocket, leave my new truck sit in the garage and drive the junk that I have over there. And it just makes good sense. That's all there is to it. It costs me less to drive this old truck than it does to drive a new truck. I can't explain it to you much more better than that. But anyway, when it comes to drying wood, you need to sticker it properly and you need to have weight on it. The more you sticker it and the more weight you have on it, the better off the wood's going to be. It's going to stay a lot straighter. You notice on the top there, there's some 1x that I had cut out, and I just threw it. Let me get in here. I had just thrown it on the top of this thing. Now, you'll see that, like right here for instance, you know, this should be down on these 2xs that were cut here, but they're not, because they're warped. They're warped like upwards because there was no weight on them. And I can afford to get rid of some of these, like this one's bent like a battleship there. I can afford to get rid of some of these, or better yet, cut them up and use them for something else. But like I say, this hardwood hardly ever gets used in the 8-foot length except molding. And molding is what I'm after. So if I can get molding out of all of this pile, this whole pile, I'll probably have everything I need for up at my house as far as trim goes. The next thing I want to do is I want to start cutting the 2x material, planing that and cutting it into spindles. Hopefully I can get 1 3/4 by 1 3/4. If I have to go down to 1 1/2 I will, but a lot of that stuff is staying at 2 inches. It's not really losing that much of a thickness. So I'll be able to work with that, and it's not a matter of getting the perfect board out of the saw and thinking you're going to keep that. It's a matter of knowing how to work with the imperfect wood, and that's something I know how to do. I know what to do to wood to make it fit the bill for what I'm trying to do, whether it's making a piece of furniture or it's making trim. And that's the whole point. You have to know what to do with the end product. You have to know what to do with a board that's crooked or bent. Where can you use it? If you cut it off, will you eliminate the bend? That's the whole point of this. I know a lot of people don't realize that, and you know, a lot of people are after, you know, quick, get done, walk away. That's not how it is. You don't have to go that route. Somebody made a comment that I should buy a 15-inch joiner. A 15-inch joiner is $5,000. What do I need that for? For what? Not doing trim work for a house, that's for certain. Not even in the furniture that I'm going to make for inside the house. So, watch and learn. Been there, done that. Guys, I appreciate you watching. I appreciate your comments regardless of what they are. I don't agree with all the comments, and I don't have to agree with them, and you don't have to agree with what I'm saying either. But nonetheless, it's interesting to watch all this stuff and to see somebody else do something that's out of the norm. Okay? And that's what you're going to see with me, because I'm not following the leader. I'll make my own path. Have a good one. So don't forget, here's that 2-inch gauge. This is just a fast way of measuring thicknesses. It goes from 2, 1 3/4, 1 1/2, and 1 1/4 inch. And then from there you would take this one from 1 down to 1/2 inch. It's just a quick way of measuring without using a tape measure to make sure that the saw, all the saws are cutting right, or the planer. You can use them on any board naturally, and you interpolate the numbers like I said in between.